This video is sponsored by Geek Fuel. Stay till the end to learn more and use the link in the description to sign up. Greetings everyone, my name is Sai, and in one of my last videos, the 10 more things you didn't know about Portal 2, I talked about how it'd be really fun to do a top 5 bullshit Portal theories video. Unfortunately, I didn't actually have that many Portal theories to make fun of, but everyone was really excited for that video regardless, and I felt kinda bad, so I decided doing a Portal 2 top 5 should be my absolute first priority, even if it couldn't necessarily be that specific one. And so I decided that we should do the top 5 Portal 2 plot holes. Because much as I love Portal 2's plot, it's always fun to take a lighthearted step back, look under the hood of the game's story, and sort of poke fun at the more nonsensical bits. Now, before we continue, I must warn you this video will contain spoilers. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the top 5 plot holes in Portal 2. Let's begin. Number 5. Moving portals. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this topic, because I did an entire freaking video about it a few years ago, and if you really want to know more or to debate it, there's actually quite a bit of interesting discussion in the comments of that video, about how movement is relative to the observer, and how we're all technically moving constantly as the Earth spins around the Sun, and the Sun spins around the Milky Way, etc. But for all of GLaDOS' talk about science and testing, Portal 2 is still quite clearly in the science fantasy genre rather than science fiction. So with that in mind, let's stick to the absolute basics here, shall we? Relative to the player, portals can't move. Now, does that make any sense? No, not really, but then we are talking about tears in the fabric of reality here, so I am willing to suspend my disbelief that far. Suffice it to say, you cannot conduct a portal on a moving platform, and if anything that was at rest previously starts to move, the portal will collapse. And that's true for every part of the game, except the neurotoxin room, where literally Valve specifically disabled the code that prevents moving portals in that room for the sake of a cool puzzle sequence. And while I do agree it was a pretty cool puzzle, it is still a plot hole. Number 4. GLaDOS doesn't get squashed. So after being put in a potato, and during the fall, GLaDOS is plummeting down towards Old Aperture with you, and yet somehow survives. I'm sorry, but what? And I remember thinking about this as it happened, because bafflingly, they point the plot hole out! GLaDOS asks you, quote, "Hey, just in case this pit isn't actually bottomless, do you think you could stuff me into one of those long fall boots of yours? Just remember to land on one foot." And I remember thinking, oh man, the potato is gonna go splat, and we're gonna have to take GLaDOS' circuitry and try to find a different potato or a battery or something else to give her power. But nope, apparently it's fine. I mean, it was only a fall at terminal velocity. And no, commenters, I don't care if you guys say the potato was grown in Aperture's bioscience labs to be indestructible or whatever other rationalizations you can come up with. GLaDOS still would have turned into mashed potatoes upon impact. Number 3. The core transfer button still works even if you don't press it. So at the end of the game, GLaDOS instructs you to push the core transfer button to put her back into her body. But when you jump through the portal, you can immediately turn around, the bombs will still go off, and yet GLaDOS somehow still gets put back in charge of the facility. And so I must ask, how? I mean, I literally have no idea how in the hell GLaDOS gets put back in charge under those circumstances. Man, Valve, you guys are so lucky you had that incredible shoot the moon moment a few seconds later, or that plot hole would have bothered me way more than it does. Actually, wait a minute. Number 3.5. The shoot the moon moment. I'm sorry, but how in the hell can we see the moon? You see all that crap we had to go through to get to the surface at the end of the game? So you're telling me a giant hole straight to the surface all conveniently fell away, and then the moon conveniently happened to be right overhead at that exact moment in time? And sure, you can explain some of that away. Like, oh, well maybe Wheatley had the main chamber moved to the top of Aperture, and then GLaDOS moved it back down while you were knocked out. And that's not even necessarily a bad point per se, but the overwhelming convenience of the whole thing does annoy me a bit. Number 2. How is Wheatley able to fix the turrets and neurotoxin? So during the escape, it's made abundantly clear that GLaDOS has very little control of the facility outside of the enrichment center. For example, the most that she can do to spite you while you're in manufacturing is to turn the lights off. But then later in the game, after you escape Wheatley's defective death trap with the turrets, he instantly realizes his mistake and sends in new, not broken turrets to try and kill you. So my question is, how was he able to fix them? I mean, surely if GLaDOS had had any control over the turret production line, she would have noticed when we screwed things up and would have fixed it right away, right? And yes, you could potentially explain that one away by saying, oh well, he'd already found Atlas and P-body by that point, so maybe he sent them in to replace the defective template with the normal one. And while I might question how he was able to do all that, build more turrets, and get them to you in the span of about 20 seconds, I can let that one slide. But no, the absolutely unforgivable plot hole here is how he was able to use neurotoxin against you in the final battle. I mean, sure, it's easy enough to send either Atlas or P-body over to replace the template turret, but there is no way they could have rebuilt the neurotoxin generator after what we did to it. So the only explanation I can think of is that Wheatley rebuilt it himself, but come on, Wheatley rebuilt the neurotoxin generator? And even putting aside the fact I can't imagine him ever being able to do that, even if he does have GLaDOS' previous schematics, it's clear he would have had next to no control over the manufacturing part of the facility regardless, so it wouldn't even have mattered. Number 1. Core corruption. So midway through the game, after disabling GLaDOS' neurotoxin and turrets, you confront her with no real plan in mind. I mean, Wheatley even says, quote, hang on a second, I might not have thought this next part completely through, before he gets forced by the flow of the pipes in a different direction. Then you get captured by GLaDOS, and Wheatley rolls in after she fails to start the neurotoxin. Now, minor side plot hole here, how did he get in the tubes that transport neurotoxin? I mean, the tubes you were in were bringing items made in manufacturing, either to storage or directly to test chambers. You can't transport a gas like neurotoxin in the same pipes, but that's besides the point. Anyways, Wheatley rolls in, and very conveniently, the divine will of Valve plops a solution at your feet, as the announcer comes on and proclaims, "Warning, Central Core is 80% corrupt," and then says you can initiate a core transfer with Wheatley. But, hold on, go back a second. GLaDOS is 80% corrupt? How? Why? What does that even mean? I mean, at the end of the game, you have to put defective cores onto Wheatley to corrupt him, but GLaDOS doesn't have any cores on her. In fact, just minutes before, she was doing exactly what she was programmed for, running humans through test chambers. So how was she corrupt? I mean, sure, from our perspective in Chell's shoes, GLaDOS is corrupt because she's evil and trying to kill us. But from the announcer's perspective, and by extension Aperture Science's perspective, GLaDOS is performing exactly as planned. So what the hell's with this corruption BS? Heck, at the end of the game, GLaDOS is apparently now not corrupt enough to be put back in charge of the facility. And no, I don't care that she just finished undergoing a major character arc, because I guarantee niceness is not the kind of thing whatever programmer at Aperture would use as a basis for determining how corrupt something is. And you may think this is nitpicking in the extreme, and to some extent it is, but just sit back for a second and realize that everything that happens in the game from that point onward is because of this Deus Ex Machina. The entire second half of the game's plot is predicated on this plot hole, and so it does bother me quite a bit, although obviously not enough to keep Portal 2 out of my top 5 favorite games list. Hey everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. But before you go, I'd really appreciate it if you guys stuck around for a quick second to hear about my sponsor, Geek Fuel. So, what is Geek Fuel? Well, Geek Fuel is a multi-box service that gives you things you can actually use, like coffee mugs, magazines, hats, t-shirts, and Steam games. For example, all the cool stuff you're seeing on screen right now came in only 3 boxes. And the best part? If you sign up using my special link, you'll get an extra $30 bonus box totally on me. So, if you guys want to get some cool stuff while simultaneously helping support my endeavors to make awesome videos for you to enjoy, check out the link below, geekfuel.com/Psy. It's a win for everybody. So guys, that is it. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later. Just a quick shout out to the amazing @TheZera on Twitter, who fulfilled my fan art request to have Mage Nymph from SNO and Megaman from Konosuba swap outfits. There is nothing I love more than fan art, and those 2 drawings made my entire week. And of course, a very special thank you to my lovely Patreon patrons, Matt Flowers, Isaiah Christo, and Merrick Freeshow, for helping support my endeavors.